In the dead of night, deep beneath a forgotten mountain, something impossible was waiting in the darkness. For 70 years, no one had entered that tunnel. No workers, no travelers, no sound, just silence. Then, one day, a team of engineers broke through a collapsed rock wall and found rail tracks that should have been buried forever. They followed them into the black, narrow tunnel, and what they discovered there stunned everyone. A train. Not a pile of rust, not broken metal, not a wreck. A train standing perfectly still, hidden in complete darkness, as if it had been left there only yesterday. Windows intact, doors closed, seats still in place, dust covering everything like a thin grey skin of time. But the strangest part was not the train itself. It was the fact that no one could explain how it got there, or why it had been sealed inside that tunnel for 70 years without a single trace outside. So the question became impossible to ignore. What happened inside that tunnel? To understand the mystery, we have to go back to the beginning. The railway was built during a time when countries were racing to connect remote land through mountains, valleys, and underground passages. This particular line was considered important but dangerous. It cut through a hidden mountain route where the tunnel was so long and so dark that once a train entered it, it disappeared from view almost instantly. Rail workers spoke about strange echoes coming from inside the tunnel long after trains had passed. Some claimed they heard metal sounds in the dark. Others said the air turned cold in a way that felt unnatural. A few workers refused to enter after sunset, saying the tunnel felt like it was holding its breath. Still, trains kept moving. Until one night, a train entered the tunnel and never came out. At first, nobody believed it had truly vanished. Officials thought it had stopped somewhere inside. Rescue teams were sent in. They searched every section of the track, every possible exit, every side passage they could find. But there was nothing. No wreckage, no fire, no collapse. Just empty darkness. The train was gone. And with it, so were the passengers and crew. Then 70 years passed. The world changed. Modern maps were updated. Old rail networks were studied again. Abandoned tunnels were being surveyed for safety and historical records. That was when a team of engineers found an entrance that had been hidden by collapsed stone and years of overgrowth. At first, it looked like just another forgotten tunnel. But as they removed the rubble and stepped inside, the tracks were still there, old, rusted, quiet. And then their flashlights caught something in the distance. A shape. A long, dark shape resting in the tunnel ahead. A train. As the team moved closer, the details became clearer. The body of the train was coated with dust but not destroyed. The metal frame remained strong. The windows were intact, the doors were shut. The wheels sat perfectly on the rails as if the train had only recently stopped. Inside, the seats were still arranged. No signs of struggle, no broken glass, no scattered luggage, no collapse of any kind. But there was no one inside, no passengers, no conductor, no crew. Just an empty train in a buried tunnel, waiting in silence for 70 years. The discovery immediately raised more questions than answers. Historians searched archives. Old railway records were pulled from storage. Newspaper clippings were studied again. Slowly, the truth emerged. This was the missing train from decades ago, the one that had entered the tunnel and disappeared without explanation. But that only deepened the mystery. Because if this was the same train, then what happened to the people who were on it? Investigators examined every carriage. They looked under the seats, inside storage areas, and through the driver's cabin. There were no bodies, no bones, no visible remains. Nothing to suggest a crash or a violent event. The controls showed no sign of emergency panic. Nothing suggested the train had derailed or been destroyed. Because if the train did not crash, and if it did not explode, then why did it stop? And why was it hidden so completely that no one found it for 70 years? Some believed the tunnel had another sealed branch, a hidden chamber lost beneath the mountain. Others thought the train might have been trapped by a collapse so precise that it left no visible evidence from the outside. But none of those theories answered the biggest question of all. Why had the train and its interior remained so strangely preserved after all this time? 70 years should have destroyed it. Rust should have eaten away the metal. Moisture should have ruined the seats. Time should have torn the carriage apart. But instead, the train looked almost untouched. That was when the story began to feel less like an accident and more like a warning.